That's Dr. Slattery here. I am your instructor for weather and climate this semester. Looking forward to seeing you all. Reason for the video, as I've put in the email earlier this evening, is an unusual set of circumstances. I will not be on campus the first week of class. I try and avoid these situations, but I'm in the Middle East in Abu Dhabi at a energy conference, and I'm speaking and presenting and doing a lot of things there. So we will not meet in person in the first week of class. So we'll just delay things by a week. And the first in-person meeting will be Tuesday, the 21st of January in Sid Richardson, 238. I'll see you all there. What I decided to do here is to do a short video and go through the housekeeping just very briefly. I'll touch on some of this again in person when we do meet. But I thought it might be good just to lay out where we're headed in this course, how grades are calculated, and so on. Just and from a excuse me, from an interest perspective, my interest in meteorology started as an undergrad. I have an undergrad degree in physical geography, and the main emphasis of that degree was meteorology. Most of that was focused on air pollution meteorology modeling, and that's what you see in this diagram here. So I come to the atmosphere from a air quality perspective. I've always been fascinated by the dynamics of the atmosphere, and that's what we're going to focus on in this class. On a slightly nerdy note, when I first moved to the US and taught at East Carolina University, on the weekends, I was the weather boy on the local TV station. A little grayer these days, no big Tom Selleck Magnum PI mustache, but it was an interesting experience because it gave me the opportunity to simplify sort of fairly complex meteorological phenomena and how to get that across to an audience that didn't have any background in how the weather worked, how the atmosphere worked. So I've always had a fascination with the atmosphere, and I hope that that interest and enthusiasm comes across in this class. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping here. So we meet on Tuesday and Thursday mornings and from 8 until 9:20. My office hours is what is on this slide here, will be immediately after class. So Tuesday and Thursday mornings, 9:30 to 12. I'm aware that that may not work for all of you. So just set up an appointment and we can get together for sure. I'm good at email, I'm responsive, but certainly within 24 hours. But if you email me at midnight, you won't be getting a response at 10 minutes past midnight. So email is the best way to communicate with me for sure. Okay, just a couple of dates to put in your calendars, and this is all on the syllabus on TCU Online. So the midterm exams are Tuesday, February the 18th and Thursday, March the 13th. We do the exams in class. So they are done from 8 until 9:20. And the final is Tuesday, May the 6th at 8 a.m. The final is not negotiable in terms of being moved. Please don't book your Caribbean cruise to depart on May the 5th. So it is scheduled for May the 6th. And I'll talk a little bit about the structure of the exams in just a minute. Okay, so what are we here to do? I have three objectives in this course. One is to get you to develop a working understanding of general meteorological and climatological processes. In other words, how the atmosphere works. The second objective is to develop an understanding of the spatial and temporal variability of these processes. We're going to be looking at small-scale phenomena like tornadoes, large-scale phenomena like hurricanes, and how those vary in space and time. And then the third major objective is to develop an understanding of how these factors influence the climate of a region. So it is a course called Weather and Climate. So we're going to be doing weather, which is the short-term variability in variables like temperature and moisture, and then the long-term average of those variables. Okay, so how does this course break out in terms of the grading? So there are 3 exams, and each exam counts 20%, right? So the 2 midterms exams and the final each count 20%. So the final is not cumulative. I like to teach about 1/3 of the material, set an exam, do the second third, set an exam, and then do the final third. And we get to do the exam there. So 3 exams, each count 20%. There is an integrative assessment that counts 20%. That is taken as part of the final. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in class. Nothing to do on that at the moment. Essentially, what I do in the integrative assessment is I give you about 10 to 12 weather maps and ask a series of questions, and it's an opportunity for you to kind of bring all your knowledge together that you've gained in the class. I will tell you, historically, most students do quite well on that. So that's part of the final exam. And then there's a targeted learning activity. And essentially what that is, instead of doing a whole series of take-home exercises, I give you one big exercise. It's called the thermodiagram, and that's worth 20%. It's super important. And again, historically, most students do really well in that. We won't talk about that for a while because I've got to get to the lecture on atmospheric stability. That happens after the first exam. But before you go away for spring break, you will have that lecture and you'll have your take-home project, this take-home targeted learning activity. And please let me appeal to you right now, do not leave this till the last minute, right? This is something that you'll need to work on over a period of time. A couple of other housekeeping things. Those exams, the targeted learning activity and the integrative assessment, all add up to 100%. I don't offer extra credit or anything like that. And I also don't curve, towards any particular letter grade. So how are your grades determined? Here's what I do. I work on a standard grading rubric, 90 and above is an A, B to 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, and so on. And I'll explain this a little bit in class as well, what this diagram means. And the reason why I don't offer extra credit is at the end of the semester, when I add up all the grades, I don't set the A boundary at 90. It always falls a little lower than that because what I do is I look for statistical breaks in clusters. So here's an example of a distribution from a large class. This is not from the weather and climate class, but this is from a class of 200 students. At the end of the semester, I rank all of the grades from highest to lowest. And in this case, the red circle, you can see that little dip there. That red circle shows a statistically significant break between a student that had 88.2 and the next one down is 87.4. And that becomes the A to B designator. So 88.2 and above got A's, and that happens down the line. Again, I'll explain this in a bit more detail in person. I think it's a much fairer way of doing grades, and it doesn't, penalize a student if they're on 89.47 and they don't get bumped up to an A. You have to stay at a B. And incidentally, I don't do plus minus systems. I cannot emphasize this enough. This course is really about coming to class and showing up. The key for this class is that it builds, the material builds cumulatively. For the first third, we're doing fundamentals, how the atmosphere works, stability, moisture, things like that. All of those concepts build upon one another to then lead into the midsection of the course, which deals with large-scale meteorologic phenomena in the tropics and the mid-latitudes. And then the last section focuses more on the climate. So please, 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 do come to class. I don't redo lectures. I don't record lectures. I do put all my slides up online. So you'll have all the PDFs online. Before each exam, I'll give you a study guide. And I always do try and do a Zoom office hours a couple of days before the exam. So please take advantage of that. I just hop online and we do a Q&A. I'm happy to meet with you as you go through the semester, either regularly or after the exams. But at the end of the day, the key is communication, right? Communicate with me, tell me what's going on. I don't necessarily do makeup exams, right? But obviously, if there is a legitimate excuse, a university excuse, a health-related excuse, happy to work with you on that. But please don't do what some students do, and especially what has happened this past semester in a large class is that the student gets to the study days and it's too late then, right? I can help you through the semester. One thing, it'll be easy in a small class, right? I do ask that you please do not text in class. That's one thing that does drive me slightly bonkers. So please put your phones away. Stay with me, right? Engage in the class, ask questions, and that's a sure way to succeed. And hopefully you won't see much of this, right? And I will be asking questions and engaging you in the class. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. The textbook that I've listed in the syllabus, when you go online and take a look at that syllabus, I'm not requiring you to use that textbook. I'm just recommending that you do. You can get a secondhand one, a pre-owned one. It's a big, thick book. I think it's really cool and useful and helpful. But you don't absolutely have to get the book. It's recommended. It's not required. I think it's great and will be of help, but that's up to you. So that's really all I wanted to cover here in this very short video. Please do go online, look through the syllabus. You can see the schedule. All the slides are already up online. I'm sure I'll make some last-minute changes to some of them, so I'll keep them current. Please do feel free to bring those to school. You can print them out, or I have no problem if you're using a laptop in class or a tablet. A lot of people like to have the PDFs of the lectures in class. It helps to take notes and so on. So I think that's really about it. The only final thing I will say is I'm going to give you a pre-class and a post-class little assessment exercise. I'm going to put that online. And that information will be in the email. You'll just go on and do a very short pre-quiz. I always like to see, I'll ask some, please don't Google or AI or use, just answer the questions as honestly as you can. I like to see what level of progression students make in this class. So again, really looking forward to having you folks in class. I think this is a very cool topic. And, you know, I like to teach it in the spring because, as you'll see, when we get to March and April, that's when fun stuff happens, like severe thunderstorms and tornadoes and so on. I hope that at the end of this class, you really have a really good, solid understanding of how the atmosphere works. Please feel free to reach out and email me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you in person on Tuesday, the 21st.